Hi, friends. It's us. This is our second episode of the podcast. The first time I actually have friends.
Oh,
you know what I mean. I have guests. Introduce yourselves, please. Go ahead.
well, they already know me.
Well, yeah, Sango's here with us.
I'm right
And
here.
of course you have G-Man.
Hey.
Yay.
So, today we're basically just going to sit around and talk about weird stuff, as we usually do. I've sent suggestions to our wonderful group, but I am still kind of getting stuff. Thank you, speakers. Let me go ahead and turn those off real quick.
Oh no.
No, not the speakers.
And they left.
Okay.
Goodbye.
So,
I'm out.
yes, the entire thing about this is we're going to do, it's just a podcast. We're going to talk about things. Every now and then we have subjects, but we're going to start off.
Okay.
Subjects, y'all experimental people? Oh my god.
I got the idea from, and I'm not even gonna lie, I actually got the idea from listening to the Distractable podcast, the one that Markiplier does.
Yes.
Because they start
It's
with
him, Bob, and Wade that does the podcast.
Yes.
And they just
it's an
talk
interesting
about
premise. So the
stories.
idea is that whoever is hosting, quote unquote, comes up with a premise, and then we all have to tell stories about it. And it's an arbitrary kind of game, like whoever wins is the next host, and it's really just bullshit points they make up. But since
I mean,
kind of
yeah.
want to do the similar
Whose line
thing
is
because
it
it's a
anyway?
lot of fun, it gives us stuff to like. It gives us something to talk about.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we have. I'm always taking suggestions from the groups, so if anybody out there decides they want to send us something, you can send it to us on Twitter or on the Discord server, or even to my subreddit.
I'm gonna move this
But,
before you knock it.
Yeah, but remember that we are going to be doing this, like, when we record, and so there's no telling what kind of stuff's going to come out of this.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So I figured we'd start with a little bit of small talk, see how everybody's doing. I know how you're doing, because I live with you. How was the trip in, G-Man?
Since I'm not in the A-Meet area anymore close by, I'm in Baton Rouge thanks to the wonderful Ida storm. It really wasn't that bad, but it's like an hour and a half drive now for me. So it's like, come see friends is kind of a pain in the butt.
Oh yeah. I remember when we went to what do you call it? We went to the mall that time.
God, my
always
family,
say-
I swear.
They always say that we're closer to Baton Rouge than New Orleans. It don't by
feel that
much.
way. No. And traffic in Baton Rouge, everybody's like, oh, traffic in New Orleans is horrible. No, Baton Rouge is so much worse.
Oh, it is. I think we got lucky that day, though, because it was like on a weekend, I think.
Yeah, it was
I think it was like on a
Saturday
Sunday or Sunday. Or...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, if you go through on Sunday, especially if it's
yeah,
the right
it was
time,
like
there's
Saturday or Sunday,
nothing,
yeah.
No traffic.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
so it
quiet.
was just... But my family, though.
Yeah, that was also
My
the whole
my
trip.
mom was excited because she's never seen Baton Rouge. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. And my sister was there, and I'm like, oh. She's...
So-
Gotta love them.
I actually do have a
I tolerate my sister. That's all I have to say about
I am
it.
sure there are plenty of people out there who can say the
But I
same.
love the fact that my mom was happy.
Good. Yeah.
I have an interesting subject sent to us by our friend Gantt Chart on the
Uh-oh.
Discord.
Oh, boy.
And the question is, well, the suggestion was, I think people one that would enjoy, I'm quoting, is giving your input on how to reform a neckbeard. Like if someone else feels a bit beardy, what can they do to help overcome that? That's a good starting point, but also I was thinking about just stories of the people we knew who were neckbeards, because a lot of the ones I knew, you also knew.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we don't get to tell stories like that.
No, and I think we actually have a lot of stories that kind of overlap, and then we have stories that I know I have that I don't even know necessarily have been shared about the same persons like Kay and you, so,
That's true, yeah.
a bunch of different things. So, for example, my wife went to school with Kay as well. She was in the
That's
same
true.
class.
I forgot about that.
He was just as strange in school as he was outside in the regular world, basically.
From what I can understand, and what she kind of talked about is it was definitely the levels of strange, but a lot less edgy.
Yeah.
He got real edgy after.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird.
And I don't know what it was that made him get that edge.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Something definitely changed. But he used to run around the playground, specifically chasing the group that my wife was in.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember which anime it was, but I think it was Inuyasha or something, and he was like, yeah. So
he did have an obsession with that. I do remember.
Yeah, maybe it's a good thing I don't have an obsession with it anymore.
Like, don't get me wrong, it was great. Again, we were kind of talking about this earlier. So
I mostly like the manga than they do the anime.
The manga's better.
Yes.
In
we got exposed to anime in a kind of a weird way because that was just whatever was on. We didn't have, like nowadays, you have whole services and there's all these things.
Yeah, considering
but
Hulu's
back
on
in
it now.
yeah, like back in our day, it was like there are 6 things and that's it, and that's all you get.
It was like, okay, I'm staying up late.
If you have TV, you got lucky.
Right. It's like, I'm staying up late. Toonami's coming on at midnight.
Yeah, that's
How
about all
late?
you get. So I can understand.
I got
like,
lucky.
weird influence and stuff like that, but I do definitely remember like some of the weird ones we knew. Like another one that we had in common was we both knew Z, you know, Mr. Guitar Guy.
Yes.
Who was convinced that once he started playing guitar, he was absolutely going to get laid all the time. It didn't work, but he did say he would. So.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, in fact, I'm pretty sure that him learning and playing guitar actually didn't help him at all.
No,
you know,
no.
Statistically, it goes up at least a percentage. No.
Mainly because he wasn't learning to play anything good. It was just like
power chords, and that's it. And nothing good combined. Like, you're not learning the power chords for some good music. You're just learning power chord G. Done.
Yeah, so he was very good at Wonderwall. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So, I guess a good thing about, like, talking about reforming... I read a story about this the other night. It was somebody actually talking about how they kind of grew out of all this. And it is interesting because we've known a lot. We haven't really seen many of them straight out change. A few... Good job. A few have. Like, I know that Kay, I don't see him very often, but I know that he actually does seem to be, like, mellowed out a lot.
I would agree.
I don't know that he's still on the, you know, feminism is the worst thing ever. Like, honestly, it's like a cult. Like, I've never seen anybody get that weirdly invested in something that doesn't have the answer to what you're saying. Like, he would do this thing where, like, he would talk about how all the evils in the world are directly related to simply women having autonomy. And it's like...
I take offense to that.
It's like, once you get past that's offensive, and then you're like, wait, that doesn't even work. Like, what? It's like, logistically, that's just wrong.
I take offense to that. I'm a woman.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing as, like, if somebody, like, it's the same thing if somebody's like, you know, oh, I have to go to the store, but my car's broken down. It's like, well, you know, Eagles. No, actually, I don't know. What does that have to do with anything? That's not an answer. You're not giving me an answer.
Starting to sound like George Bush here.
It's
I'm kind of doing it.
It really is just like that level. He did that a lot, and at first it was. I agree. It was like you. It was just like, oh, come on, man. Like, my mom was very openly, you know, very left leaning, very openly feminist, and it was like, you know, you can't just say that. But then after, like, listening to him talk for 10 minutes, I'm just like, the logical part of my brain is just like, wait, that doesn't even work there.
It's a good trick, because you're so overrun by the feminist, like, anti-feminist to it, and you're just like, wait, how did I process it? And your brain starts like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, it's just like, wait, did this motherfucker just say blue is purple? Like, that's not the same thing. It is a lot of that. There was a lot of that. He did that a lot. But by far, I have to say the neckbeardiest of them, if we're to talk about, like, what fits the stereotype, would definitely be Mew. Because the man only bathed once a month.
Yeah.
I have no idea how he did that.
The time that he had the computer issue and you were trying to help him with it, that scarred into my memory forever.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen anything that horrible.
No. It's like, forget cleaning the computer. It's not the bugs and viruses and that. We need to get raid.
Yeah. Just take it out back and shoot it. Just put this poor thing out of its misery.
Yeah. Get a new computer.
Like, the thing was, at one point, he just started leaving the entire side panel off because he said it just kept overheating. And I was like, so clean your vents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what that means. You gotta clean your vents. And I will say the plus about the case I have now is it's got these big air filters on it. And you can tell when they need cleaning because dust is white. And if the inside of those little hexagons is just white, dust that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You need to clean it. You just have to do it.
Great thing about filters. Either the filter is white or you got a filter that's off color until the white of the dust and stuff shows up. Mm-hmm. You know.
Oh, yeah. But he never cleaned that shit. It was in like the best way I can describe it was in like an alcove. There was a perfectly shaped little hole where the tower would sit, and it's not like, you know, it was a desk. It was just trash. It was like a perfectly shaped little trash hole, and it would just fit in there. And I was just like, well, you know, I think I found your overheat problem actually. Clean your fucking house.
It's like those old cartoons, like SWAT cats and stuff, where the garbage pile would open up.
Yes, yeah, it was exactly like that. It was amazing. But like, yeah, he did that kind of shit all the time. I remember. Did I ever tell you the story of the great Xbox tragedy between the two, though?
I think you told me about his hitting the red ring of death, but I don't know the details.
So this was before the 360. This is like the regular Xbox. He had one. You had one.
Rare for you to get a red ring of death on the original.
Oh, well, see, what happened was his started malfunctioning.
Okay.
And he didn't know what was wrong with it. And by this point, I had taken apart more than my share of video game consoles to like clean it, fix it, all that kind of stuff. And he asked me if I could fix it. So I was looking at it, and I was like, bro, there's so much gunk in here. Like, it's dead. Like, it's just dead. Like, there's filth just all in there. And it's like, you gotta clean this shit. So at one point, he gets a hold of Kay, who also had an Xbox. Kay was weird when it came to, like, neckbeard stuff, because he's actually relatively well off. Like, he wasn't like a lot of neckbeards and, like, don't have any money, don't get a job. And it's like, motherfucker had a trust fund. He had money.
Yeah.
No.
He didn't have access to it all the time.
No.
But
No,
he did
but it's
own
the fact
both like
that
an Xbox and a PS2 whenever those things were really popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was allowed to have it when
when
he
had a
needed
limit,
it or
basically.
whatever.
Yeah, there's a whole story behind
Either
that.
way.
But so he had an Xbox, but he only had like 2 games for it, and I think one of them was like Morrowind, and I forget what the other one was. So he didn't play it a lot. But Mew was like obsessed with this. It was one of the Castlevania games that wasn't very good, but I can't remember which one it was. But he had to have this because he also played Morrowind and all this other stuff. He was also really into Blood Rain. Which
of course.
Jiggle physics. So it's just like,
that did
okay.
not go well.
It was weird. But he really, really needed this thing. And I was like, okay. Well, no, he sold Kay, because I'm thinking of a different story now. He tells Kay that he needs to borrow it. I'm thinking about the joystick. That's a whole different story. We'll get to that one. How he ruined my fucking joystick.
Which joystick?
My PC joystick.
Oh, that
It was a really
joystick.
nice one. It was a little Sidewinder Pro. I like those things. But, no, he
So he
asked
calls
Kay.
up Kay about the Xbox.
Yes, and he's like, can I borrow it for like a few days? I'm going to go get another one. I just need, all this. And at first, like, Kay even said the same thing I did. And he's like, they have internal memories. This isn't like, PS2. Oh, just pull the memory card. And like, no, it's a hard drive.
Right.
So if it's in there, and this was, before like the 360 where you could pop the hard drive off
Right.
the top. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's in there. You have to take the whole thing apart to get it out.
Yeah.
So
They didn't build it the way you could just
no,
do
because
it
it
with
wasn't
360.
it wasn't a SATA system yet. It was still like the old integrated
Now-
mechanical.
Now, that being said, there were still some, because there was a cartridge on the original Xbox.
Yeah,
Yes.
you could get a memory card.
You could get a memory
That's
card,
true.
so you were able to,
Yeah, so if you
remember
wanted to
correctly-
extract everything out.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, or even if you weren't like saving everything. For example, if you were just playing Halo, you had enough space to save Halo.
Yeah, but mostly you went directly to the hard drive. And again, this was before like the SATA hot swaps that they had for like the 360. This was integrated. You're gonna have to pull the whole fucking thing out. It was a pain in the ass to get to. Drive failures
Water
were the worst.
feeding.
Oh, thank you. And I've had to replace a few of them, and it's not fun. They really don't want you opening that case. So,
No.
It's Microsoft.
but
yeah.
all of them did it. There's
Yeah,
screws everywhere,
so-
but it's like, yeah, it's.
Even with the Xbox 360 hard drive, it's
Oh,
like, oh my god,
yeah.
you gotta have the special case and everything. It's like, it's a SATA drive that you guys
For a
need-
laptop, it's a little bitty son of
That's
it.
it, and you
Yeah.
guys have just slammed it in the case with 1,000 screws so nobody can access
Oh, yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was like the big thing. So he gets this one. Kay, for some reason, lets him have it, and he's like, "Yeah, for like a week." So a week passes, you still has the Xbox. 2 weeks pass, you still has the Xbox. 3 weeks, a month,
Oh, no.
month and a half.
I
He's not
see where
giving it
this
back.
No.
I see where this is going.
And that's when it starts. He apparently has called him repeatedly. Now Kay would do this thing, and I think I've talked about this and other things, where he could call, and he had 2 levels. He would either be really mad, or he would do what I refer to as the emo sigh. Yes, he was just like,
brother.
he'd be like, hey, I really need this.
Oh my
And it was just like whining, and it would just wear on your nerves. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would get on your nerves to the point where you're just like, fine, fuck, just do the thing. And it's like, I don't care. But Mew would just straight up duck his calls and like would not answer the phone. Now, where I lived at the time was on a completely different side of town. This isn't a big town, but it's big enough that, like, you have to drive. Otherwise, walking will take a couple hours. They lived, I would estimate, maybe 8 blocks apart.
Something like that.
Yeah, not very
so
far.
not far from each other.
So he could have very easily just shown up at the motherfucker's house. But they're both really not confrontational. And so, neckbeards, and they don't really like to do this.
Plus, K is a little bit smaller than you, so
yes,
he was.
But that led to them, that started the many arguments. One of the many, many arguments that those two would have, because neckbeards will fight constantly. That's like a thing. They just fight each other because they all have to prove whoever's alpha or whatever. Kay really wanted his Xbox back. Mew wasn't giving it back. They fought back and forth. This went on for, I think, almost 3 years.
Oh my
They would
God.
argue about the Xbox.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I
don't know, but I think when Mew moved away, I think he still has the Xbox.
Oh my God!
I don't know, but I think he might still have it.
That was like 5 or 6
horrible.
years. Oh
Yeah, that was years ago, but yeah, I think
Okay.
he still has it. Like, I think he just straight up ganked his Xbox, so...
I mean, I guess that's his way of saying, I don't want to buy a new one, just steal my friend's Xbox.
Yeah.
Because he
No,
can
they're
go
all
get a
real
new one, I
classy.
guess.
It's very much a thing. They were like
Yeah, but that
classy
was-
guys, so...
Well,
Yeah, but that was during the
just
time when the
borrowed
3...
it permanently.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but that was during the time when the 360 was about to come out, so
it
it's...
was like right there when he
Yeah,
borrowed it. the
so
360
it's just
came out.
kind of
Yeah.
like, he could have waited for 360.
Yeah, this was... Kay had like a
But
weird...
I get it,
He had a weird thing about not taking care of stuff.
Ooh.
For example, like, he once had a PS3. He had to buy a second one because it died.
Okay.
Because of all things, he actually let me borrow it for like a week because he really wanted me to play some game. And I was like, okay. And I did. And I was like, okay. And he's like, oh, I really got to get it back today. And I was like, all right. But I mean, like, I have to work. Like, I was working. I forget where the hell I was working at the time. I said, I'm not going to be back till like 6 or 7. And he's like, well, I have to go somewhere and do this. And I was like, so I'll just bring it to you tomorrow. And he's like, no, I need to have it back today. And it's like, but you're not even going to, like, be there. I'll just bring it to you tomorrow. Like, I don't... His answer was, because he had the box, still the box and everything, he's like, just put it in the box, and then put it in a bag, and then, like, leave it beside the stairs on his front porch.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, because that's
I
how
don't
it
care.
broke.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't care if it's in the box. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I think it's gonna rain. You shouldn't do that. And he was like, no, it'll be fun. He kept going on and on about it, and I was like, look, it's your console. I'm not gonna fight you.
Yeah.
I just,
Is it
probably a bad idea.
Was it like the original PS3?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
That's the big boy.
no!
And those were prone to yellow light.
Yes.
And that's exactly
compared
what it
to
did.
compared to the ones that we
Humidity
have.
issues.
Yeah, compared
And-
because the ones we have are the second gen.
Yes.
Yeah, the
the
second
second
those are
and
the
third
better
gens are
ones.
much better.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, because that was the same
Oh,
thing. Like,
that's a PS4 over there. Everything on the
guys, nobody
Yeah.
can see the PS4 but us.
Sorry, I'm
This is
just,
true.
I'm
We're
just saying. Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
I actually do have a funny story. So at one point, Kay was getting a new computer, and he didn't know what to do with the old one.
Of course.
And he was like, he wanted me to just take it because I could like salvage it or something. And I was like, oh yeah, man, I could probably like pull some stuff, make it work. I still have the case. It's actually over there. But it doesn't RAM in it, but it still turns on. Everything on it still works. I cleaned the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
He blew like a thing in it that kept the video card PCI port from working. Well, I fixed that.
Of course.
And got the video card. I mean, the thing is that he was trying to put in like a high grade card, like a big one, and it was not made for that, so it's not going to work.
Wasn't it something with the power supply?
Yes,
Like,
it kept overloading.
Yeah, that's what,
Because it's a standard HP board. It's not like a high density custom built board like
Of course.
the ones I use in my work PC. Like that one can take
Yeah.
like the little 950 I have in there because it was made for it. So it's like
it was
gets
made
that.
for a higher.
So he was trying to play something, I forget, like maybe Fallout 4 or something, and he overloaded it, and it's like, I was like, I could use it as a work machine, it ain't no big deal. So I fixed that, but then, this isn't even like a thing specifically on him, like, I don't know where he bought this, but it wasn't until years later that I did the reading of Sonichu, and Chris drew his own desktop, which is based on his actual computer, and I was like, It's the same fucking computer. It's the same one. It looks exactly like it.
Oh, that's funny.
It's a little HP Media Center desktop, and I was like, oh, fuck, man. I own one of them.
Oh, no. That's sad.
It's pretty funny.
No, I was around, like, okay, I grew up on a Dell, but I've always had a laptop.
Oh, man,
I've never had, like, an actual Monster Beast PC thing.
As much as the newer ones are really cool, like, Dell's back in the day, that was the shit.
Oh, dude, that Dell that I had that I actually gave to you for a while, that case is still amazing. It's like, what the hell did y'all do wrong? I mean, that case was massive. You could do whatever you wanted to it.
Beautiful designs.
Oh, yeah.
They built big open cases before everybody else did. Everybody else was trying to build little compact desktops, and then they'd overheat. And Dell was like this big fucking plastic cavern. And the motherboard didn't even, like, touch any of the sides. It was just huge. Now, like, it's everything. Everybody does that.
And, you know, back in the day, it was like cable management wasn't necessarily a thing, but Dell still had the ability to do that.
Now
everybody's like, oh my god, cable management. Gotta make it look pretty. Let me get my LEDs in here.
They were the ones who created the rail system because they knew that hot swapping was eventually going to become like a thing.
Yeah.
So you would put these rails onto your hard drive. You buy a hard drive and you'd screw them on the side instead of putting it directly in the case. And it was just these two little green rails with little squeeze bars on the back, and they just slot in and lock in place.
Yeah.
It made it quicker for them to assemble too.
Yes, and God, it was so much easier to work on. You could do them on every single drive. You got a disk drive, you got a hard drive, you got any kind of drive. That little bastard just slapped right in there and you were done. And it's like that made working on those so much easier. And then, you know, I'd eventually get to the point where I have to work on other computers, and it's like, there's so many screws. I hate everything.
Someone at Dell said, you know what, I work on this shit. I do not want to have to take out a million screws.
It's, if you've never done automotive work, but you have done electronics work, that is one thing they have in common. You'll take out 15 screws, you'll grab the piece, try to pull it out, it doesn't come out, and realize you missed 2.
No. So get me started on another subject. So my truck was running a little rough. I had to take a trip to Shreveport.
Yeah.
So when I got back, it was idling funny and everything else. I was like, man, what could be wrong? And then I looked at my mileage, like, oh, you know, I haven't done a tune-up in like 80,000 miles. I might want to do that. So I started taking the damn thing apart. Well, last time I paid for it because I was running my business and everything, so it was smarter. Well, this time I did it myself, try to save some money. I was cussing up a storm. My wife's like, kids, come inside. Your father's going to kill somebody.
This is the reason why I can't do my own mechanic work anymore.
Yeah, my vehicle, my wife's vehicle is even worse, but my vehicle, I had to take apart half my damn air manifold to get to my spark plugs. And I'm like, all right, what engineer do I need to shoot and say, don't ever do this again?
Yeah, because when they built the thing, they're like, oh, it's easy to put in. It's like, yeah, because it didn't have any fenders on it.
Right.
Now it does, and I have to deal with this shit.
It has to actually completely come off and be removed.
Good
the
Lord.
whole air intake. And so it's like, oh, by the way, in order for you to do this, it's even in the instruction manual, you want to get a piece of cloth or something to keep things from falling into the air manifold. Like, again, nobody thought this out of it.
Yeah.
At least that's not what it feels like.
To make this worse, because I know a lot of people aren't super mechanically inclined if they're listening to this. To make this worse is we're talking about a modern intake, which is your OEM intake.
Yeah.
Which is like a shotgun intake. So it's like there's a pipe, comes out of the engine, goes to the front of the vehicle. At no point in time is it facing directly upwards, and you have to build around that. My truck has the old style intake where that was just the way you did it. Heat comes out through that hole too. So there's just a big hole in the top of the engine. They put a filter on top of it. That was just the way you did it because that was the only way you could. There is no reason why it needs to still be that way. Like, that was 20 fucking years ago.
Well, in their defense, at least for the minivan, it's like, okay, it's a minivan. They're trying to put everything in this tiny little space. I'll give them that. My truck, on the other hand, you have this giant space, and you're not going to utilize it.
Yeah, it's a big V8, isn't it?
It's only a V6.
Okay, but it's big. It's got enough room that this shouldn't be an issue.
Exactly.
Oh, man. It's like that. I had to work on that Mustang. The air filter on those is fun. So your air filters, for just the basics, usually come in a rectangular shape. Because that's the standard, easy, big block fits in there. Older ones are round. I swear to God, Mustang intake, it's a fucking cone.
Yeah.
And I don't know who decided the cone was a good idea, but I'm going to kill them.
Someone in Ford thought it was okay to put a cone intake.
If you thought finding a round intake filter was hard, try looking for a fucking cone. Because when you go to AutoZone, you're like, I need a cone. A what? A cone. That's not real. Au contraire. I have it right here.
This is like calling up and asking for the 1998 Toyota Tacoma water pump.
Oh, yes. It keeps getting better. It's like, but I need this piece. That's not a piece. I swear to you it is.
Yes, it is.
Or they haven't seen it since the 90s.
Oh, God, yes. And it was working on my truck that I came to the conclusion, because I always thought this about mine. Good job.
Nice.
And then, then when I went to stay with Sango and her family for a while, her mom had a Camaro.
Oh.
And
2010 Camaro.
yes, and it was then that I discovered that GM also owns Chevy. That somewhere, no matter who they are, something stupid exists inside that engine, and I'm gonna find it. And for my truck, it was, we got a fuel filter. It's metal. It's all pre-assembled. It is right under the driver's side door. Good luck getting it out. Fuck you.
Same thing with that Ford I used to own.
Yes.
Because the one time I needed to change the damn thing, I broke down like 2 miles from the house. And so it's like, well, I can't push it. It's too damn heavy. It's from the 80s or early 90s. Let me change out the fuel filter right here. I have never swore so much working on a truck.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you would think,
It's
hey,
the
91
worst.
Ford F-150
Yeah.
off the... No. Because
No.
it's this small space, and it was hot and everything else.
And they don't put there's not a cutoff valve for it. So you get the fun task of undoing one side of the filter, which you assume is blocked, so it's not going to work. Then undoing the other side, and your entire fuel tank empties right into the side of your fucking head.
Pretty much. Like, the only thing that
horrible. I
saved
hate
me
it.
from that, because I did do that the first time, I was like, oh wait, there's fuel coming out there.
Yeah.
I had those little vice clamps, medical clamps, whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and anybody who's wondering, I do not use it for what you're thinking about. I use it for grabbing wires and walls. I've got good stories on that too. But nonetheless, I had a pair of those, so I just clamped that sucker down like I was doing surgery, pulled it off, done.
Mine are all metal pipes, so you have to get like a rag or just a cork. Because I found out it is perfectly the size of a wine bottle cork, and yes, it's exactly the reason you know why. Because I had one, and I pulled it off, and it started leaking, so then I was just like, let me try something, just jam that little fucker in there, and it worked! Just like, so, that apparently is a thing.
The desperate shit that you will do when working on a vehicle.
Oh yeah, the best one, however, is her mom's car. So, yes.
Wow, yeah, you get rid of it.
So, Chevy...
They sold it to a neighbor before they moved out.
Yeah. So Chevy made this brilliant idea. They're going to put an engine cover on top of the engine. Big plastic thing. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who understand anything about thermodynamics, you know where this is going. So there's a big old plastic
I told
tub.
her, you don't need that thing.
Yeah.
It's
sitting on top of the
but
damn
it's
thing.
so pretty. No, you don't need that thing. You know it will overheat.
Oh, yeah. Because we're in Florida.
And
now,
then,
this is Florida, mind you.
Now, I don't know when they put it back on.
Yeah.
Because they had it off for a while. Because I told her you don't need it.
No, you really don't. It's
No
just
one's
like
going to
plastic
see
cover.
it. If you're not going to a car show, there's no purpose. Okay, so they left it off for a while. Even then, it didn't matter. Because it would just overheat. Like, the engine would just overheat.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, okay, well, what the hell is going on? Well, they take it to, the place that they usually take it to get their stuff done. And they're like, oh, well, like, the fan that's supposed to kick on to cool the engine is not turning on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
That
okay,
could be a
well,
problem,
okay, well, why is it not kicking on? It should just kick on. Because I'm used to stuff, like, in the cars in the, whether it's the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, when you turned on the car, the fan would kick on, and it would kick on, it would kick on when it needs to kick on, because it knows when it's supposed to kick on. Okay.
Right.
Well, apparently the 2010s thought it was okay to, I guess the best way to put it is, they thought it was a good idea to attach the, the whole fan thing, the cooling fan thing, to a thermometer. And whenever the thermometer says it's hot, the fan should kick on.
See, the part about that design that I never understood was it makes sense if it's like a fan system in your house.
Yes.
Or a fan system for like, not even your computer, but like maybe a cooling system that
like
has
an
to like
AC or something.
yeah, you don't want it
Like-
running 24/7 because it'll run up your power bill. The car produces its own electricity. You're not gonna run out of power, and if you did, it's off. Like I think you got a whole different problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no.
I
so,
do not understand why they did that.
Yeah, so no, they thought the best way to fix it was to put a new thermometer intake into the thingy.
Yeah.
And then, well, did that, still overheated. And I'm like, Mom, you know what we need to do? And she's like, what's that? We just need to get rid of the thermometer and just jack it into the stupid
Bypass
engine.
it. That's
Yeah.
Just
When
do
the car
it.
turns on, fan turns on. That's all you need.
Well,
It
'cause
works-
that's what
it's
you
been working
did.
for 50 years.
Well, because that's what you did with your truck.
Yeah, truck does that automatically.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, your truck did that.
Oh yeah.
And you were recommending her, just get
yeah,
that done.
Just do it. You
Just
can't hurt
tell
it that
them,
way.
you
What's
know.
it gonna do? Get too cold? It's
Well,
Florida.
The worst, the worst thing you're gonna do is actually wear out the fan faster. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
You just
Yeah,
get
but
one.
that fan isn't that old. Like,
No,
okay, it's as
but-
old as the car, but it's not.
yeah, but of all the things to go wrong, okay, the fan. Let me take the fan out versus the thermometer, wherever it may be.
Yeah.
It's in the weirdest spot in that car.
Yeah, and the fans.
Well, you know,
But the fan is
Aftermarket
not
ones
that.
are good.
Yeah, but the
can
fan
get 'em for
in
nothing.
the Camaro isn't like. One, it's not that big,
Yeah.
and two, it's not in the weirdest spot
Yeah.
for them to like take it out and put it back in kind of attitude.
Yeah, I mean, like
So
the one
really,
that's
they
in my
could have
truck-
just bypassed the stupid thermometer.
honestly, I don't know why they got away from the fans that were attached to your serpentine
Yes.
belt in the first place.
I have no
I
idea.
mean-
It's Chevy.
Yeah. Well.
Well, there's space issues. Is the only thing I can come up with, and even that doesn't make much
So-
sense.
But it was a
like-
V6.
So the one that's in mine, put it through this way, it's
Okay.
not attached to the belt. It actually is electric, but it's like a big metal HVAC fan that would be like in a house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I only know that because like the thing says, you know, fan spinning, watch your fingers. But they put it on that one. Like I've seen other cars, newer ones, because they're plastic and a lot of them. And it's like, you know, oh, be careful, you could hurt. That one is literally like, don't touch it. And it wasn't until I actually had to pull parts of the radiator and look at it. It is just a big metal fan.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing works like you would not believe. Like if I turn the engine on, you know, your car's running, you got fans going, you can feel a little bit of wind. That one, you turn that thing on, it's like somebody put a blow dryer in your face.
Yeah.
It kicks. And
Well, yeah.
it takes
No,
maybe fucking, I don't know, 15 volts. There's nothing to it.
well, yeah.
So I don't
no,
get why they
it's-
switched away from that stuff.
Well, and the funny thing is that when you, like, you saw when my mom popped the hood in the car, you saw the whole inside of the hood of the car. It was a V6, and when you look at it, you're like, oh, there's still more room
Yeah, there's a lot
on
of
the
space.
inside of the thing.
The only thing I can say with the Camaros is that, as far as not having it attached to the serpentine,
Mm-hmm.
is that my understanding is they have a sideways motor, like minivans and things like that.
A lot of them do, yeah.
So if that's the case, all right, I understand. Let's get you an electric motor. That's fine. But why does it have to turn off with a thermostat? It doesn't
Yeah.
make much sense.
Again,
to me.
I
it's
have
like,
no
are
idea.
you gonna run out of? Do you think that the alternator's gonna stop working? Do you think it'll protest? I mean, come on, man! It produces electricity 24/7, and it's like a 12-volt fan. How much power do you think it needs?
Even if it's in power issue, like, well, our
have-
alternator only produces 5, amps or something like that. So that takes another amp. Why not have it running all the time?
Yeah.
Put a bigger alternator in it, smaller fan, some
Exactly.
kind of capacity.
Yeah.
something.
Is this really that difficult of a problem?
I have no idea, but when they were moving out, they sold it to a neighbor that they trusted because they were going to give it to their kid when they hit 16. And I was thinking, okay, well, so all they had was the truck. My dad got a 2017 Mustang.
Okay.
I have nothing to say about that. I'm whatever. And then, they get this new house, and it's really nice and all this type of stuff. And I'm happy that they got this nice house, and it was custom built by someone else and all this type of stuff. Okay, cool. And then they were going to fix up the truck because apparently, I don't know when it happened, but my niece was driving it to school, and I guess one of the idiotic students decided to back into the tailgate.
Yeah.
It left a tiny dent, but it was just kind of like, what the fuck? And so they needed to get that fixed anyways. Well, then my mom tells me, oh, well, we're going to really have to get it fixed because someone decided to back into her.
Oh, man.
So the tailgate really needed to be fixed.
Oh, I have a great tailgate story when you're
done. So I was like, okay, thinking they're going to get that fixed. And they said something about, like, well, they want to get a new truck. Yeah. They wanted to get a new Colorado. Cool. Okay. And then she texted me with a picture saying, oh, well, that's right, I never showed you our new ride. And I'm like, okay, it's a Camaro.
I have a new one.
It's a white one. And I'm like, so what happened to the whole truck thing? And they're like, and my mom's like, oh, well, we traded the truck in for a Camaro. Well, what happened to the idea of you getting another truck? And the only thing I can think of, the only thing I can think of is all of their stuff. They probably got all of their stuff out of the storage unit and put it into their attic because it's an actual working attic. Yeah, it's not like the crap attic thing that was in the old house. Yeah. It's an actual working attic where you could actually store your stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't want the storage unit anymore because it was getting pricey.
Understand. I have that problem right now.
So all of their stuff, including my things, because my things was in storage when we moved, is all in the house. Mm-hmm. So they don't need anything to haul anything. And I'm like,
makes sense.
Okay. You know what? If you want a Camaro, that's fine. I don't know what year. To me, I'm like, I didn't even ask what year it was. I could just tell from just looking at it. It's like one of the newer ones. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I could think of is, I hope they fix that shit problem because you're just gonna have to deal with that again.
You telling me about that? My only thought was, man, it must be nice to have money.
Right. Well, the only thing I could think of is like when they sold that house.
I guess so. Yeah.
They were able to pay off their student loan debts and pay off the Mustang.
What's it like to be financially stable?
I don't know.
I've never been there.
It's funny because like they both work, but they're not like the best jobs in the world. But they both work.
Yeah, I
know. I'm gonna say something on that.
Sorry. Yeah.
Put water right there.
Yeah.
I will say this, and a lot of people are like, well, they don't understand this or that as far as boomers and stuff like that, and the older generation, which I know depending on where your family falls out, your parents may not be boomers or anything like that.
Yeah.
They were born in the 60s.
Lived
in the 70s. So it's sort of, but not
close.
Yeah.
Which is really weird because we all ended up in this weird timeline where it's like, well, you're supposed to be a millennial. I do not identify as millennial because I don't think like some of these other people. But okay,
we're very older millennial. I think very.
Yeah, we're like right there.
It's very
cusp. But nonetheless,
grew up with MySpace and shit.
Right.
I mean,
I grew up with dial-up and switched to broadband. I've not had anything but high-speed internet since I became an adult, basically. So.
Yeah.
Well, like, I don't know how to put. Like, they don't think like one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, he would know. Like.
Yeah, they're nice people, and I don't know. I'm getting all that. But.
Well, my point was to be like, let's just say, they bought their house whenever, and the market was hot then. Let's say a house was...
It was a big deal.
Yeah, it was $40,000. That was really expensive then. Well, because everything has still steadily increased, that $40,000 became an investment. Mm-hmm. And so now it's like, oh, look, when I sell it, because now it's worth $500,000, yes, I make money.
Yeah, I think they sold... Because they didn't want to be in a neighbor... Like, they didn't want to be in a suburban neighborhood anymore.
Which I understand that with all the craziness.
And
right
now. with them having like a HOA and shit, they were just done. Yeah. So
I'll tell you the story, and then we want to move on to our. No, it's okay. And then we'll move on to our thing. I have a thing. Good job.
No stuff.
I also had a thing.
My grandmother, that same truck that I have now, if you really look at it, you can tell where the paint's chipped away, that it actually, the tailgate used to be red. Mm-hmm. The truck was never red. Mm-hmm. The tailgate was. And it's because my grandmother, after my grandfather passed away, she'd only used the truck to do yard work around here. So we have a pretty big yard, so there's a lot of you gotta pick up lambs, you throw them in the bed. And at one point, she told my aunt that she had to bring the truck in for service. She's like, well, I bumped into a tree, and I just need some work on the back. So my aunt was telling us, she told her man that my man called my mom, was like, bumped into a tree. And she was like, what, is there something wrong with that? And she's like, the tailgate is ballooned out like a pumpkin.
Oh, yeah.
She bumped into a tree doing 30, apparently. It was so wedged out you couldn't close it. It did not close. And the best part about that is it wedged out so far that they were like, well, the bumper's not bad, so we're not going to mess with it, but if you stand directly over the bumper and look down, it kind of Z-shapes.
Oh, jeez.
So, my grandmother had a great habit of, like, just totally destroying something and then downplaying the effect of it. And that happened a lot.
Oh my
She told
God.
us one time she had a small fire, and, you know, it was taken care of. What she meant is she accidentally set 1/3 of the entire back 40 on fire, and the fire department had to show up to put it out.
Oh my gosh. It's like, it's all fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
Before we move on, so there was a time, me living out in the middle of nowhere, and you know where I grew up at. Behind where we live, we only had like an acre or so. Well, our friends who were neighbors, they had like 300 and something acres behind us. Well, we got to wander, whatever. Point is, my brothers were burning something in our backyard.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
They went inside to play video games for a little while.
Oh, here we
now
go.
y'all see where this is going.
Yeah.
They came back 2 or 3 hours later, and they have set the entire forest afire.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
They called me because I had experience because we had done controlled burns and stuff out there. I drove an hour from where I currently was, which was in Livingston, to get out there and go get the bulldozer and everything else, and I had to make a control path out there. That forest burned for like a week.
Oh
Because
my God.
it was due for a controlled burn, but we weren't expecting it.
Good
It
Lord.
was not
Oh
fun.
my
And
God.
look, the state finally showed up after I get the dozer and everything else out, and we're sitting all around. We're covered in soot and black. We were out there for like 5 hours. It is 10 o'clock at night. State rolls up in truck. Y'all need some help? Where were you?
Yeah, where were
6
you?
hours ago.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
How do you not notice the forest burning down?
so I have
Uh-oh.
a thing, a little challenge, and
Oh, no.
I'll even be the first since I'm the one who's proposing it. And
Mr.
it's-
Host.
Yeah, well, we're gonna tell stories.
Oh God. Okay.
And it's gonna
I
be
may
a
not be
story.
good at this, so.
It's gonna be a fun story.
Oh no.
And the challenge is stories of something really dumb you did as a kid, but
no.
got away with.
Oh no.
That's the challenge, okay?
You go first.
I will.
I'm gonna have to think for a minute.
Yeah, take your time. So that's our challenge, and that's what we're gonna do. So I'm pretty sure this is actually a really
ahead.
stupid idea, but it's something we did. And so one time, back when I was really much younger, we still lived in Thibodeau. I would be maybe 13, 14 at this point. I had a friend who used to be a neighbor of mine back when we lived outside of city limits. So one side of the road was all houses. The other side was just miles of cane field.
Okay.
Just sugar cane field. So we decided, because I was staying at my friend's place over the weekend, we decided we were going to go out and just screw around in the cane field like stupid teenagers do. So we decided we were going to go out there, we're going to walk around, we're going to do stuff, and we had all this stuff. We like packed up everything. We had like, water bottles, we had all this stuff. We were going on an adventure. We were ready. We had all this stuff, and he decides his dad has one of those. This was before, you know, you had the air pistols, like the little CO2 power ones, before they were like really safe, and they were more like a 22 pistol.
Yeah.
Well, his dad had one, and he decided since we're going out there, he's going to bring it. So any responsible adult would be like, that's a bad idea. You don't really need to do that. But I'm like 14, so I was like, yeah, we'll shoot things. So we brought it.
Oh my God.
We have like a fistful of CO2 containers, a bucket full of ammo. We have that, our water bottles, our backpacks. We decided we're going to walk this whole thing. So we're going out there, and we did not know that if you go way to the end, because it's the same length as the road,
Yeah.
that in the back corner, way off in one corner, that it used to be, before this area had trash pickup by the parish, people would just throw their stuff out there. So there was just like a small dump. But here's the fun part. Sugarcane fields are basically what you would consider like a cornfield or like any kind of farm, but like on crack.
Pretty much.
So
Pretty much.
Yeah.
they have sugarcane requires gallons of water to grow properly.
Well,
so
of course.
there's huge irrigation trenches. So we knew of the regular ditch, which is about 1.5 feet down.
Oh boy.
The irrigation ditch, which is about, I'd say, 3 feet. But we did not know about what is essentially called the field border irrigation system, which is a ditch that is about 30 feet down. And it is a fucking ravine. It is just a ravine.
I think I know where this is going, but
Oh,
I'm not
it's
sure.
better. So we decided we're going to, we saw this thing from a distance, this trash heap from a distance. We're like, I don't know what that is, because we've never seen it before, because we didn't really do this.
Teenagers.
Exactly. But we decided we're going to go check it out, because we're brave explorers and idiots. And it's, like fucking September in South Louisiana, and we don't have anything else to do. So
That sounds about right.
So we trek across this field, and it's to the point where, like, they're not actively working the field, so there's not tractors and trucks and everything,
So
but there is a security.
Oh,
Because
boy.
some people go back there on their four-wheelers and decide they want to go up and down these roads, which is fine, except that sometimes they decide they want to do donuts in the field part. Don't do that, because that's where they're, like, seeding and shit, so it'll fuck up all their
that's
stuff.
where they're where they're gonna harvest. And
They don't really care
plant
if you
and-
want to screw around on the service roads. I mean, you shouldn't, but also, that's fine. It's not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
So
Don't hurt the plants, man.
yeah, because that's their money, so they get real mad about that. So we're just kind of walking around. There's not really anybody there, and then we get to this fucking ravine, and on the other side is the dump thing we saw. So we're staring at it like it's on the fucking moon, and we're just looking at this thing, and we're like, I don't know how we're gonna get over there, because we're trying to find, like, where the little, because there has to be a way over it,
Yeah,
because there's stuff there, so there's got to be a road or something that goes in that direction. So we're going back and forth trying to figure out, like, where is it, and we find there's like we can kind of see it way off in the distance, because I got my binoculars, so I'm so cool, and I can see it from, like, a distance, right? And so I'm like, it's way down there, and he's like, my friend is just like, well, let's go, fuck it, let's go, we're gonna walk all the way down there. So we walk all the way down there, and we're, like, still going. Now, keep in mind, it's still warm out. It's still kind of like, there's not a lot of stuff going on, but we're going down there. And at one point, he grabs me by the shoulder and just stops me dead in my tracks. I'm just like, what? He's like, that. And points up ahead. And coming across the road is a snake. And it's, like, way out in front of us. So I'm like, let's just back away and get out of here.
Okay,
I'm going to leave the snake alone. It'll go across the thing. It'll be fine. I say the phrase, back away, and look at him, and notice that he's already got the air pistol in his hand.
Oh no!
And my mind is immediately like, you're gonna piss this thing off, it's gonna come at us, it might be a copperhead, we're gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
So, but again, this is one of those that I think his dad fucked with it, so it has way more output than it ever possibly should. This is totally not safe, you should never do this. Because,
no.
usually those things, you can reload them several times, and little tiny cartridges
Yeah.
last all those. This lasts about one clip, and that's about 6 rounds.
Wow.
So he tweaked it so that it's way out there. So I'm like,
no.
I didn't know this at the time. I'm just like watching him, and it's like a little pellet gun too, so it's not just like a regular BB gun.
Okay.
So he's like jamming the thing in there, and he's like, no, I got this. And I'm like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I don't want to be around when you do this. So he sees this thing. The snake, I guess, finally notices that he's there, looks at him, curls back to bow up at him, and he just whips out and whack! And it just sounds like a loud whack. And the next thing I know, that snake does not have a fucking head.
Oh, jeez.
It is
Oh my
gone.
god!
And I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, I told you I got it.
Oh my god!
I was like, dude, didn't you shoot that at a friend of yours the other day? Like, and he's like, yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. So eventually we wind up over there, and it is just a trash dump. Like, from the 70s, there's just like trash, but you can see like the multicolored plastic and all this other shit. It's just garbage, and we're just out there like, this is the coolest thing ever. And he sets all this stuff down, and we're just like hanging out, have our water, fucking around with this stuff, and we decide, okay, we gotta go back. We go all the way back, and we're thinking, we got away with this, and that is the premise, is we got away with this, and we did for about 3 days. But that's when day 3 came in. See, apparently somebody on the street saw us fucking around back there, and then heard the sound.
Oh, God.
And when we left, he left one of his small bags, which was a thing for school, which had his fucking name on it.
Oh.
And the sheriff found it and called his parents and told him that he shouldn't be having a gun out in the cane field. And his dad whooped the shit out of him. So that is the time we almost got in trouble in the cane field. Technically, I got away with it.
Of course you did.
That's the technicality.
Okay.
So
that basically reminds me of like an entire summer of my life of stupid decisions. But it also reminds me of something from when I was a kid. So I'll start with that. When I was a kid, maybe about 9, maybe 10 or so, I was staying with one of my uncles. I've got 4 uncles. Well, this one had a trailer, was out in the middle of nowhere basically, and he liked to leave the door open and just have the screen door. He wanted to save money, not have the electricity, all that kind of stuff. Well, one day, we're all staying over there with my cousin and everything. We came back from the store, I don't even remember what, but I remember coming in the house and there was a gosh darn rattlesnake in the doorway. It's right below me. I'm a 10-year-old kid basically, and I'm like, I'm about to piss my pants. And I'm just standing still, afraid for my life. And all of a sudden I hear, boom! Snake gone. My uncle grabbed the gun. I still don't know to my life what it was, but he grabbed the gun and shot the snake between my legs.
Damn!
And I'm like, thank you God, he didn't miss.
yeah, really.
Yeah,
That could have ended really badly.
That could have ended badly.
Evidently, my mother and him had words later. I do not know the entirety of that conversation because I wasn't there. But the story goes is she threatened him, and if he ever did anything like that, they wouldn't find the body. And we live in South Louisiana, so y'all know there's plenty of... Anyway,
Yeah.
So that was that. But, okay, so the entire summer when I was a teenager, when I had the sidekick, basically.
Oh, yes, I remember.
So it started with, in the early... We had some old BB guns lying around, and my younger brother... and the one right next to me, because, you know, I got 3 brothers, so...
Yes.
Oh, of course.
So again, big families. For any of y'all thinking out there, yeah, it's fun, but there's also crazy trying to keep track, especially when all your names begin with B's.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
You can't initial anything because everybody's B.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, so he wanted to feel the air come out of the BB gun. I'm like, this really isn't a good idea. It's not safe. He's like, no. I pumped it up right here. Shoot me in the stomach. I'm like, this isn't good. Come on. I'm like, okay, fine. Poof. Oh my God. He's like screaming, oh my God, you shot me. I'm like, I told you it wasn't a good idea. So he immediately has a whelp, and I mean, it's like a quarter immediately. And
Oh,
then
no.
over the next couple of days, it turns in from this little quarter-sized whelp to like half of his stomach is blue and purple.
Oh.
So my mom didn't know about this for years. We finally told her like 5 years ago. So this has been like 20 years ago. So we finally told her, and she's like, "Y'all lucky I didn't know Battle beat this." I'm like, "No, that's why
That's why we kept it a secret.
And he said, and he finally admitted, I thought I was dying for a week.
Oh my God.
So that was the beginning of the summer. Well, of course, I was driving, and so one day we had paintball guns as well, and
Oh, yeah.
we had a little field in the back where my brothers were burning stuff later on in life. But we had a really good paintball field. Well, we had some friends over, and we were working around with some of the CO2 and stuff. And I got my sniper rifle really turned up high so I could shoot to the other side of the field. Okay, great. Well, we're playing. I'm a sniper. I'm in the back, and it's woods ball, so I'm really concealed. I got a ghillie suit and everything. We went all out for
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, of course.
My friend walks around the field where I couldn't see him because it's kind of like this to the left, and he's sneaking up on the right, and so he sneaks all the way up the field. I never hear him until right when he's up on me, basically a foot to 3 feet away from me, and I hear a twig break, and I turn around and have instinct, pop one off, hits him right in the stomach.
Oh, no.
So this is 2 times I shot people in the stomach. But this time, because it was so turned up, the paintball actually blew through his clothing.
Oh, no.
He had 3 shirts on trying to cushion stuff. It blew through all 3 layers.
Oh, my God.
So that was the second stupid thing that we did that summer. And so we never told anybody about that either. He was, oh my God, I can't believe it. And he was a football player, so for it to hurt him, that was a big deal. I mean, big old guy. So the end of that summer, we went camping. Again, same group of friends, basically.
Yeah.
But this time we had one of my friends, and I can say his name. I don't even know if he's around anymore. His name was Brandon. Big guy. I mean, talking about 6'5". You may or may not remember because we went to school with us.
So, yeah.
Like 6'5", big old husky dude.
Oh,
You would
yeah,
think
yeah,
he
yeah.
played football, but he didn't. He was just a big guy.
Yeah.
Well, he came camping with us, and he decided, hey, let's go mud riding in the middle of the night. Yeah, why not? How could it
Possibly go wrong.
Could possibly go wrong.
So we go mud riding in the middle of the night. We're all in his truck. It's like 7 people. We're all... What the hell thought us this was a good idea? I would never know. So we go mud riding back there, and we get stuck, of course.
Oh, yeah.
We get out, and we're in like 3 feet of mud, and we're just like, I ain't pushing this shit out. How about y'all? Okay. Which way back to the campsite? And everybody looks at me because I'm the only one who knows the area well. Even my brother's like, which way? Shit. And this is before the smartphones like we have now.
yeah, of
So
course.
you're just lost in the woods.
This is an old Nokia brick. And I'm like, alright, I can navigate you guys through here, but this is all the light we have.
Yeah.
It took us like 2 hours to hike back through this.
Oh my
Again, we're in the
God.
mud, the muck, and everything else to get back to where our campsite was. And when we did finally get back, again, guided by the Nokia bricks light, thank God for that.
Okay, yeah.
We get back there, we're all exhausted, we pass out. The first thing, like, the daylight hits, and Brandon's over there, man, I got to go to work. What? Then I gotta go to work. Oh my God. So then we have to go get the Jeep.
Oh.
So we go get the Jeep, which thank God the Jeep has 4-wheel drive. I'm not supposed to drive the Jeep. I know how, but I'm not supposed to do it without permission. Well, in this case, nobody's down there except for us. So I'm like, all right, we got to do this. So I go get the Jeep. It's me and Brandon, and I think one of my brothers. We go hook up to his truck, and when we get out there, we realize that his truck went from having wheels to no wheels because that's how far down in the mud it is.
God.
And I was like, oh, this is bad. Okay. So
we might need a shovel.
Somehow or another, we get everything hooked up. We get it hooked up to this Jeep, and thank God it's an old Jeep. This thing is from like 1989.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it had so much torque, it was not even funny. I hook up to it, and we're going down the road, and I'm pulling, and I'm just going down, and all of a sudden I hear, boom, boom, boom. Brandon is trying to like put the pedal to the metal, and he is just peeling out, destroying his truck. We get out of the mud, we assess the damage. His entire bed of the truck looks like a beer can that somebody just grabbed with a handle.
Oh.
And he looks dead at me. He's like, well, I guess I gotta hammer that out when I get home, thanks. And unhooks and drives off to work. He is still covered in mud, and he is still dirty as hell. And I'm just like, is this real life? Is this real life? This dude just like straight
Question
up.
is, did you get away with it?
We did. We got away with all of this. So the only thing we didn't get away with in this entire summer is that one point in time, one of my younger brothers decided to jump off the roof of the house into the swimming pool.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's not that he got hurt or anything. Thank God he didn't, although he could have. He did it, and he said, hey, y'all, watch this. Right as my mom got home and walked out the back door.
Oh, no.
And she saw him jump off the roof and into the pool. And he comes up for air, and the fear in his eyes.
That man died. He did.
He died inside.
He died on that day. But on that day, we knew he was going into the military, and by George, he did.
He jumped off that roof. You saw your mom. It's like, well, I have one less sibling now.
Well, actually, I wasn't there for that. That was the one time I wasn't there. It's like, see, when I'm not there, y'all get caught. My family does not know half of those stories. Actually, there's a ton more stories that my family don't know about. There are times that we had a 2-story treehouse that my dad built. We climbed the side of it. Just no safety, nothing. We could have
Just
fallen
because,
over.
yeah.
And then we climbed up and jumped off the damn thing into a pile of carpet. Why? We don't know. We just
Little
did it.
kids do stupid
We
shit.
weren't even stupid kids. We were like 13 at that point. We were no older.
You should know better about your
Yeah.
teenager.
And
So it's
of course,
fine.
there are other things that we did in the woods. We would, me and my brother, we decided to take one of the dirt bikes that we were allowed to ride against someone else's. And we were going to hook my bicycle up to it because I'm the bigger one.
Yeah,
I'm
of
smarter.
course.
I can actually steer it, right? So we hook it up via rope so that the motorcycle can pull me, and
this won't end badly.
It ended very badly. So we actually made it further than I thought. We made it about 600 feet or so, and I hit a rock, and my brother was going about 30 or so.
Oh no!
And the bicycle kept going, and I went in the opposite direction. I got up, and thank God I landed in a nice soft ditch, basically, because on the other side was gravel and dirt and everything else. So I got up. I actually still have a scar somewhere on my elbow from it. I was gushing blood there, and I was covered in dirt and leaves and stuff. And I got up and I said, "Hey!" Oh, wait, he was gone. My bike's still just tumbling behind it. It took, I don't know how long it took before he realized that he yanked me off the damn thing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we had some good crazy things like that, though.
So what about you, Sango? Do you have a story that you did something stupid your parents don't know about or you got away with?
That's a good question. I mean, considering how like strict and stuff they were, it was a little hard to get away with stuff at home because it's impossible. Like, my dad may not have been there all the time because being in the military, you're always constantly at work or deployed. Yeah. But my mom was always there, and she has eyes on the back of her head, so it don't really matter if you can try to get away with it or not in the house. But I do remember, like, oh my goodness, I think it was like a preteen, so it was just, I wasn't, so I would say this, like, when I was a kid, I didn't really try to get away with anything, because to me it's just kind of like I didn't see the purpose, Yeah. I hanged out with whatever friend I had and was allowed to play games because it was okay, all this type of stuff. Well, I think, if I remember correctly, like, I went to my cousin's house, and my cousins were nuts. Like, this is the set of cousins that was, like, my younger uncle kids, okay? So, I mostly hanged out with, my middle cousin, who was, like, maybe a year older than me, so not by much. I hanged out with him because, we had the same, we just had the same, like, everything that when it came to what we have in common. My older cousin, as much as I tried to hang out with her, my sister would take her away, so it didn't matter. Because she was still in that girl phase, where she just wanted to do makeup and everything like my sister, so it was just like, never mind. Yeah. So I hanged out mostly with my middle cousin all the time. Well, I would have to say this, that, like, I don't know, like, how much my younger uncle and my aunt understands all of this stuff, but we got away with a lot of shit, and they had no idea until it was, like, years later, or maybe a year later, and they're just kind of like, you did that thing, that kind of thing. Yes. So, never could get away with it with at my actual house, but anytime when I went to their house, it's like, I can get away with something here. So, there's a lot of things I got away with, and my uncle just basically didn't even bother noticing because he didn't think it was that bad. So, one of the big things that I got away with was I used to play Pokemon cards. The Pokemon trading card game. My mom thought that was a bad idea. I played it anyways because I thought it was good, because it was fun, and all this type of stuff.
I think I might actually still have cards like that around here.
And then, I mean, she did get into, like, understanding what it is. It wasn't Magic the Gathering. That's what she was worried about, me getting into Magic the Gathering. It was just Pokemon. Okay, my mom gave me the leeway because Pokemon is cute and it's not real and all that type of stuff. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, so there's 3 things that we got away with when I was at my cousin's house. One of the things was that when we were trying to get my younger cousin, who cannot, for the life of me, understand why we like the stuff that we do, but tries to fit in. Yeah. Because she's the youngest.
Of course, yeah.
Well, she tried to get into our card game. Well, that did not work out very well because she kept asking, like, it's almost like playing 20 questions or more kind of game. Because like, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I evolve them? How do I do that? And I'm like, oh my god. It's like, we just gave you the basics. It shouldn't be hard to figure this out at this point. Well, it got to the point where my cousin thought it was okay to smack her in the back of the head.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
And I was like,
Uh-oh.
I have nothing to do with this. I'm just playing. And all I hear is, BAM! And I was like, ooh. And, of course, she, screamed. And then the only person that came, it wasn't even my uncle, because he was working a lot, but their mom came in and was like, what's going on? And my cousin's like, oh, she hit her head on the back of the door.
Oh.
Meanwhile, you're like intently studying every detail on your card.
Yeah, I'm just...
no, Pikachu had so many lines.
No, to me, I'm
I
just...
didn't see anything.
To me, I'm just kind of like, I'm just holding my cards, reading all the descriptions on what I need to do on the next game. And she noticed I'm not even paying attention. Of course, I was diagnosed with autism, so she thought I was in my world.
Yeah.
So she didn't even bother asking me anything. And and she
you're
looked
so
at her son, and he's just like, well, that's what happened. And she's like, is this true? And my cousin, his younger sister's like, I don't know.
Damn, there's a heart attack reset.
She didn't know what to say because she's just kind of like, is she gonna believe me?
Oh
Is she gonna believe me that my brother did this to me? Well, because he was just so done. He was just done with her asking so many questions.
I mean, little kids do that shit. It's...
And then the next part, okay, because it was on the same day. It was during the summer. It was all on the same day. This is when they were still living in Florida.
Yeah.
So it's still the day, it was still, like, it was the weekend when I, went to hang out with them and, like, stay at their house and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that happened. So she didn't play with us anymore until we go outside and we're playing t-ball. Because I can't play softball or baseball worth the shit, so we have to have, like, the actual pole. Because I can't hit anything properly. Yeah. I know that it has to do with all hand-eye coordination. They're like, well, you could do tennis just fine. Tennis and baseball are two different things.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. The balls are different sizes, for one. And two, you have a racket and there's a bat. Rackets are bigger than a bat.
Yeah.
And you got this, you got all of this space for the racket to hit the ball.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if you didn't hit it right on the net, you still hit it on the sides of it. So I have to have the pole, which is why it's called t-ball. Mm-hmm. Well, we're just hitting the ball and everything's fine. And, she comes back she comes out wondering what we're doing. We're like, oh, we're playing t-ball. And she's like, you're not gonna hurt me, are you? And I'm like, no, we're
famous last words.
It's like,
famous last
word. Well, no, I told her, no, this is t-ball. Anybody can play t-ball. It's not that big of a deal. And she didn't ask the 20 cushions thing, thank God, because I told her, it's just t-ball. All you do is hit the ball on the pole. Mm-hmm. She gives it a whack, and I'm like, you need to hit it harder if you want it to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so I showed her how to do it. Well, I hit it so hard that I think I cracked something on the house.
Oh, no.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, no. I'm like,
she did it.
I'm in so much trouble now.
I'm like, oh, man, I'm in so much trouble. Well, of course, it's my uncle, because he was actually home that day, because it was like one of the days he didn't have to work. Mm-hmm. So it was like a Saturday or something. He comes out and he's like, okay, who hit the house? Because he could hear it.
Yeah.
Because even though he sits there and watches TV, he can hear things.
Yeah,
of course.
He's got hearing better than his wife. And he's like, okay, who hit the house? And my cousin, not my younger cousin, but my middle cousin, he's like, oh, it was me. So I got away with it. He took the blame. Yeah. I got away with it. Well, he didn't even look at me. He looked at his kids because he thought,
like, you damn kids.
Well, because he thought,
eating on my house.
Well, no, the reason he didn't even look at me is because he thought, well, there's no way she could do that. Because, that when when my mom told them, like, this is what she has, and she may not understand things, all this type of stuff, and so he didn't even bother looking at me. He looked at the kids. So I was like, well, I guess I got away with hitting a ball against the house.
There you go.
Yeah, well, we went to go get the ball.
Uh-huh.
And we went to go look. I'm like, okay, the damage can't be that bad, right? Well, apparently I, cracked the surface of the...
Oh, damn.
And I'm like, That can be fixable, right? We could paint over it or something, you know?
Okay.
Alright, so real quick, you reminded me another time at my house when I was a teenager. I was cutting the grass, and, teenagers do their chores and stuff when you out, you got 6 kids. Work gets divided.
Yeah.
I'm outside. I'm kind of happy to cut the grass because it gets me out of the house for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just doing my thing, and this is before, modern iPhones and stuff like that. I've got a Walkman, basically.
Oh, yes.
And it's a CD Walkman, so it's kind of
oh, even better, yeah.
So I'm like, what the hell? And I'm looking down at it, and I accidentally run over one of my mom's flower bushes.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So I just keep going. I don't even realize it until after I'm done, and I'm like, something's missing. Oh, well, whatever. Well, the next day, my mom was really upset, and she was like, I can't believe you did that, all this other kind of stuff. Well, fast forward, like 6 months later, the damn thing is bigger and bushier and everything else than all the other plants. And my mom's just like, how the hell, you damn near killed this plant, and it's even better. Well, fast forward to the next summer, I'm getting ready to cut the grass for the first time, and my mom looks me dead in the eye, and she said, you better run over my plants again. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, is she threatening me with my life? She's like, no, I'm serious. Run them all over because I want them all big. I'm like,
Okay.
Okay, this is permission.
You mulched, basically.
So I actually did it, and I'll be damned, they all came back the same way, and it's like, son of a bitch.
I mean, hey, if
You
it works,
mulched,
it works.
well, you mulched it, so
I don't know.
or something. But
I believe that might do it for our first episode of All Together.
well, I didn't talk about my last one.
Oh, you want to do the last one first? Yeah, go for it.
Another thing so this has nothing to do with being at my cousin's house. This actually has to do with being home.
Mm-hmm.
So I come back from my cousin's place. And, my mom found out, I learned about Pokemon, which she got into it. It was fine. She learned the fact that I saw Nightmare Before Christmas for the first time, and she looked at it. Okay, it's a kid's film,
Yeah.
She was afraid of it at first because it was dark.
Yeah.
It was a dark film. Well, she looked at it and she's like, "Oh, it's not as dark as I thought."
Yeah.
But the church the church I was growing up in, they were very.
No, I get it.
I'm not gonna get into it, but you can kind of get an idea.
Yeah.
So she learned all this stuff. She's like, "Oh, okay, you're a preteen. Everything's fine." I was like 10. You do stupid stuff when you're 10. So she did the same thing. She did stupid stuff when she was that age too.
Yeah.
Well, I guess she didn't think it was funny. She didn't find out about it until oh my goodness, maybe 2 weeks or so, or something like that. So I got away with it for a while until she found out about it. So it's kind of so this is when we were living we left Key West and we went to live up in Middleburg and everything, so in the Orange Park area of Jacksonville. So we were living in nice, that kind of a nice house. Well, and this was when I was about to go into the junior high year, so I was about to be a teenager soon.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was I thought it would be funny and okay because it was just me and my sister at the house because they had to work. My dad was on deployment. She had to work because she worked at this computer place and everything. I think I told you about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, my sister had to watch me. Otherwise, it was one of our neighbors. Well, my sister didn't have to work, go out, or anything, so she was the babysitter. Well,
I know that pain.
I thought it was hilarious to go into her room, which is a no-no, and grab something from her room and basically trash it. Because I was just not happy with her because she trashed one of my things.
Yeah.
She thought it was funny to make fun of me for being a tomboy. So I remember she would take one of my dad gave me Hot Wheels and stuff, but the ones that he gave me specifically were NASCAR. So it's the one thing you don't mess with.
Gotcha.
Because I got it from my grandfather. Well, she thought it was okay to trash them Not realizing, we got it from our grandfather because
Mm-hmm.
he's the NASCAR man, and he realized my grandfather may have been like not accepting of certain things and everything, but the one thing he did accept is the fact that I liked boy stuff.
Yeah.
He was okay with that. It may have been weird for him. They didn't have a term for it yet during his time because it was the 30s and stuff, but he thought it was kind of cool that he could share boy stuff with a girl.
Yeah.
So my dad thought it was okay to give some of the cars to me because I liked playing Hot Wheels and all that type of stuff, and I was into NASCAR at the time. So, well, when she trashed them, and when I mean by trash them, I mean she didn't just toss them into the wall or anything like that. She destroyed the paint off of them. She thought it would be funny to take nail polish remover and put nail polish remover all over the cars, where you can't see the number of the car that they were and what sponsorship they were. And the worst part is that I wouldn't have had a problem with it except my grandfather's favorite car, which was the number 88, which was Dale Jarrett at the time, was ruined. And that was the special car that I wanted to take care of the most because that was my grandfather's favorite guy.
Yeah.
This was before he retired.
Yeah.
Before Dale Earnhardt Jr. took the number, that was Dale Jarrett. That was his car. Well, I thought it would be hilarious to take her Barbies and not only dismantle them, but destroy their faces.
Well, there you go.
Well, I tried to get away with it for a while because my sister had no idea that I went in her room, stole all of her Barbies, and my mom thought I was just playing with them. Okay, not a big deal. Well, it wasn't until, I don't know, it was a couple of weeks later, she went to come to see how I was doing. Well, then she saw that I was dismembering them and taking nail polish remover and removing their, the eyes and the faces and everything. And she's like, "Why are you doing this to your sister's Barbies?" And I'm like, "Look what she did to my cars!" And my mom's like, "All right, I understand this now." So she pulled she understand that. So she pulls my sister aside, and my sister saw that her Barbies were practically ruined. Yeah, I also messed up their hair too because I'm a spiteful bitch. And she's like, "Look what she did to my Barbies!" And she's like, "Those Barbies are replaceable because they're playable. They're the playable Barbies." I knew better than to get the ones that are in boxes that were special edition and take them out of their box. My sister did that shit, by the way. Not realizing how valuable they are.
Yeah.
And they were my mom's when she was growing up.
Ooh.
Yeah, she thought it was okay to take the cheerleader Barbie out of there. And it was I think it was like the Miami one or whatever. And my mom was angry because it's like special edition, very valuable, stays in the box.
Yep.
Took it out of the box, thought it was okay to play with. My mom screamed. But I knew better than to do that shit. Yeah. Because I'm like, I know how valuable they are. I know they're a big deal. And also, my mom got them when her grandmother got them for her. So it was my great-grandmother.
Yeah.
Because she knew that she liked dolls.
Yeah.
And Barbies. So that was a tradition thing. Well, she's like, "These are replaceable. They're playable Barbies." And she showed her the cars. These are not replaceable. They're NASCAR cars.
Yeah.
Hot Wheels don't make NASCAR cars all the time. It has to be like a specific reason, and most of the reasons is like the Daytona 500 or the Pepsi 500.
Yeah, there's like a special series.
It has to be a specific series. That specific series that my grandfather gave me was when it was way before Jeff Gordon and them came into the picture.
Yeah.
So it was the old series, like when Dale Earnhardt was first in.
They changed colors, they changed numbers, all kinds of stuff.
Models and everything.
And it wasn't just that, it was like who sponsored them.
Right,
and
another thing that changed.
that was, when she didn't realize that was like the special edition type of cars that they were playable, but you shouldn't ruin them.
Yeah.
Because
Totally
playable or not, it's the one series that you can't find anymore,
Yeah.
and you have to get a new series. And well, my grandfather found out, like, because my dad, so she told my dad, which he had to go tell his dad, which is our grandfather, and my grandfather was like, do I have the right to spank her? And I'm like, oh no. And he doesn't do, okay, like, I'm not gonna get into the whole discipline thing, because we did have that when we were kids, and I didn't like it, but he didn't discipline them like we were disciplined. He used his belt. That was the old school. And my mom's like, nope, we've got this, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And then I had a new set of NASCAR cars as time got on, but it was just like, I guess you could say I did kind of get away with ruining her Barbies, but she got new Barbies, so it didn't matter, but it was just kind of like...
At least you got your revenge.
She knew what was happening. I did the no, okay, but I got off easy because it was just kind of like, I'm doing this because she did the stupid thing.
Yeah.
But it was a dumb thing. Did I like doing it?
This sounds like a perfect story for r/petty revenge.
Yeah. But with that,
I'm sorry.
I thank you. No, you're fine. I do think that this is a pretty good episode. I think if we're all free for one more, we might record one more before we're done.
Yeah.
I think I can make that happen.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's it for
I'm
this
free for
episode.
anything, so.
I want to thank my wonderful co-hosts. I don't think we're gonna do a point system. Maybe we'll do that later and figure out who gets to host the next one.
Next time,
But for now, we're just kind
it
of
is always a
spitballing
pleasure
it.
to do
yeah.
this stuff. So
This is fun.
So if you guys enjoyed this, first off, if you're hearing this early, thank you for subscribing to our Spotify, to our little thing. If not, why aren't you?
yeah, seriously, please.
But if you do have your own idea of like things that you want us to talk about or whatever, you can send it to my Twitter, my subreddit. Honestly, the subreddit is probably the best because, you know, it'll stay logged. I don't follow my Twitter as much as I should. And, you know, hope you enjoy the videos, do all the proper social media things. We have a Ko-Fi and a merch store. Hopefully we'll be making some new merch specifically off of the podcast stuff, which you may see soon. I'm not entirely sure. We're getting there. But, yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody, and hope you have a great whatever time of day it is. We'll see you in the next one.
see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.